Saturday morning, about 7 o'clock in the morning, about an hour later than I was wanting to get out on the road. This thing has fought me every step of the way since I decided to go to the power tour. But we are on the service road, fixing to get on the interstate. Starting to get into the edge of Texarkana. I got a lot of construction going on here. Speed limit says it's down to 65. Down to 65. Neighborhood of 18, probably. Had to stop, fill up, lunch of champions, Cheez-Its. Welcome to Tennessee. 200, 300. Crossing the bridge. Shops on the side of it. Surely that's not their corporate headquarters. So we stopped here at this town. Some people call it Loretta Lynn's. Anyway, first place to stop, the Pilot truck stop, all their gas pumps were closed. So we came over here to this other little place. All of theirs are open. They're taking change, or dollars, or cash, I should say, all through Tennessee. But they just informed me that this town is under a flood warning in the next couple of hours. So we're not going to stay around, for sure. We weren't going to anyway. So I'm going to change batteries on this camera. It's getting low. And we're going to get back on the road. Stay tuned. Next stop, maybe Bowling Green, maybe somewhere else. Well, I took my old exit, exit number 22 here in Bowling Green. It's the exit where we always stayed. I've been looking at the radar and there's pretty bad thunderstorms on up the road in Louisville, Kentucky. So I'm gonna pull in here and see if they possibly have a room for the night and maybe just go ahead and stay here, get something good to eat, get some rest. It should only be about another 300 to 400 miles tomorrow, so we should make that pretty easy. Anyway, traffic's going again. We'll be back in a little bit. Don't know if y'all can see it or not, but there's fog just above the trees. beautiful drive. A little mist in the air from the fog. Well, we made it to Summit Park, Motorsports Park. They got some racing going on here so far for tonight, but a lot of the vendors are already here. We're in line, and yes, the hood's up because it seems like my alternator has decided to crap out, maybe, about 40 miles back, and I drove it on in. So we're gonna let it cool off, check for a few issues, and see what we find. The unfortunate part is it's not an alternator you can run down to the parts store and buy. Stay tuned for more shaggin' wagon shenanigans.
Well, it's the beginning of day 2 of the actual power tour. We've been here since Sunday myself, but finally caught up with Chuck from Church Boys Racing and his son Matt, and Joe and Denise from California. They're behind me in their wagon. I don't know if you can see them. And we're headed to Dayton, Ohio this morning. We're going to stop and get some gas and some breakfast, and then make the track to Dayton, Ohio, go in some of the back roads, small towns and stuff like that. So stay tuned, we'll be back. Oh no, they put me in the lead. Well, we had a little stop. We bought some extra fuses. Turn this around. Had a little stop. We bought some extra fuses. I bought some washers for spacers and some bolts. So I'm going to try and space the hood up a little bit later at the back at the hinges and let some of the heat out. We'll see how that does, because the alternator, and I may go ahead and put that other alternator on tonight, I don't know. Now it's back down to not charging. Now it's charging. Try to cruise with some of the Camaros, but we'll have to catch up to them here in a little bit.
finally happened. Here's Denise, Joe, Chuck Jr., and Matt, Chuck's son, and the Shaggin wagon, and it's not shagging too right now. It looks like the alternator finally took a crap. So we're gonna let it cool off a little bit, see if it's just ground related and it starts charging. And if not, maybe get a flatbed onto the fairground. We're how close?
We are 20-some minutes. It's like
So we made it 17 miles to go, and it finally quit.
19 minutes or 15 miles.
19 minutes. So we were close. Anyway, I'll get back with you in a little bit and see how this turns out.
GoPro it up.
We started a YouTube channel for my shop. All right. Well, it finally happened on the second day of the trip. The alternator just got where it wouldn't charge at all. It finally crapped out. And we're having to pull the radiator. And we had to pull the power steering wheel. Pull it off to get the alternator off. But we do have a replacement one already. So we will be getting that. And thanks to Chris. This is Chris, your last name?
Clark.
Clark. Here, a local guy. We were stuck on the side of the road waiting for the car to cool off and figure out what to do, and he pulled up and offered his services here at his house just down the street from where we were. So we're putting it back together here in just a second, and hopefully we'll be back on the road. And thanks to Mr. America here, people just don't do that anymore. Okay, so we had the alternator issue. We met a young man.
Turn right on Barrett Drive.
On the side of the road, he stopped to check on us and offered his services, personal services,
In 900 feet, turn left on Olentangy Drive. Then turn right.
at his house and all of his tools, and then did most of the work for me. We changed the alternator out. We had to drain the radiator, pull the radiator, pull the power steering pump pulley, change the alternator, put it all back together, and
Turn left on Olentangy Drive. Then turn right on
did all of
Bayside
that,
Drive.
got it back together, and then he wasn't gonna let me give him anything for his services, but I'm more stubborn than he is. So I gave him enough money. I gave him $100, gave him some money for himself,
Turn right on Bayside Drive.
and then gave him more than enough for him to take his fiance out to dinner tonight and have a little extra left over. You just don't find too many people like that anymore. Young man, he's 35 years old, working his ass off, working all day long, and then he works on the side doing stuff for friends and whatnot. That young man deserves a lot. So when we get back, we're going to send him a care package too.
In a quarter of a mile. Turn
So
left
anyway,
on
we're going
Woodland
to try to
Drive.
get to the hotel and catch up with everybody else.